The Canon 18-55mm lens. The one lens every beginner has but no one talks about. Is it really as basic as they say, or is it hiding a secret talent?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Let's be real, this lens gets a bad rep. It's small, lightweight, and is usually dismissed as just a kit lens. But today, we're going to push this lens to its limits and see what it's truly capable of. Spoiler, it might surprise you.
First up, we're testing how this lens handles wide-angle shots. At 18mm, which is actually a 28mm on a crop sensor camera.
Honestly, not bad at all. The colors are crisp and the wide angle gives you plenty of room to play with your composition.
Now, let's see how the 18-55mm lens handles portraits. At 55mm, which is an equivalent to 88 on a crop sensor camera, with the right lighting, you can actually get some decent background blur. Yes, even with this lens.
Sure, it's not as creamy as a prime lens, but look at this. For a kit lens, it's holding up rather well. Here's where it gets interesting. At 18mm, this lens becomes a versatile option for shooting handheld, motion. Let's test this autofocus and stabilization.
While it doesn't have IBIS, with steady hands, a rig setup, or a gimbal, this lens can handle movement decently well.
Your 18-55mm lens has a variable aperture, meaning the maximum aperture changes as you zoom. At 18mm, the widest aperture is f3.5. At 55mm, the widest aperture is f5.6. This means less light enters the lens at a longer focal length, requiring higher ISO or slower shutter speeds in low light. 1.6 times crop factor and aperture. Since you use a crop sensor camera, it has a 1.6 times crop factor. This affects the field of view, but not on the actual light gathering ability of the aperture. However, in terms of depth of field and equivalence, your lens behaves like 18mm on an APS-C equals a 28 to a 88mm on a full frame. f3.5 to f5.6 behaves like f5.6 to f9 in terms of depth of field, not brightness. So while the exposure remains the same, your background blur will be less compared to using the same f-stops on the full frame. On a crop sensor camera, to get the actual field of view, multiply your lens focal length by 1.6. That means 18mm acts like a 28mm and 55 acts like a 88mm. Remember to do that if you're putting it on a crop sensor lens. So, is the Canon 18-55mm lens perfect? No, but it is capable of producing great results if you know how to use it. Absolutely. It's lightweight, versatile, and most importantly, it gets the job done. Don't underestimate the tools you already have. Sometimes the best creativity comes from working within your limits. So if it's the only lens you've got lying around, dust it off and give it a shot. The Canon 18-55mm lens is not just a kit lens, it's your starting point. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs a reminder that gear doesn't define creativity. Thank you for joining me. Have a great night.